The arrival of fear, the pride of a conqueror commander, Vexfer, stood on the bridge of his massive dreadnought, the stellar dominion, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his view screen. His silver skin gleamed under the harsh bridge lighting, and his 4 yellow eyes showed nothing but contempt. This was going to be easy. It was always easy. The bridge around him hummed with activity as beings from dozens of conquered worlds worked at their stations. Each species had once defied the Zephyrian Empire. Now they served it willingly, their homeworlds nothing but memories, and their people scattered across the galaxy as willing servants. "Status report," Dexfer commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had never known defeat. Sub-Commander Crystal, a reptilian being from the 3rd conquered world, looked up from his sensor station. His scales flickered nervously as he spoke. 57 ships in perfect formation, Commander. The target world shows no signs of advanced defensive systems. Dexfer smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. 57 ships, each one capable of reducing a continent to ash. Together, they represented the might of an empire that spanned 300 star systems. "What do we know about these humans?" he asked Dr. Velanara, the fleet's xenobiologist. Stepped forward, her insectoid features clicked as she accessed her datapad. "A young species, Commander. They have been spacefaring for less than 2 centuries. Their technology is primitive. Chemical rockets, nuclear fission, basic electromagnetic communications." "Pathetic," Dexfer muttered. "Any space-based defenses. A few orbital platforms around their homeworld and moon," Crystal reported. "Nothing that could threaten even our smallest escort ships. Earth's quiet preparation far below on Earth's surface." Admiral Sarah Chen sat in the Pentagon's deepest bunker, surrounded by screens showing data from around the world. Her black hair was streaked with grey from 25 years of military service, but her dark eyes remained sharp and focused. "Ma'am, the alien fleet has taken position at the edge of our solar system," reported Colonel David Harris, her aide. 57 confirmed vessels. The largest is 15 kilometers long. Sarah nodded calmly. "Any communication attempts?" "Not yet, but our deep space monitors are picking up scanning beams. They're studying us." "Good, let them look." Sarah turned to the secure communication console. "Get me Dr. Webb." The screen flickered to life, showing Dr. Marcus Webb in his underground laboratory beneath the Colorado mountains. His wild grey hair and thick glasses made him look like a stereotypical mad scientist, but Sarah knew he was humanity's most brilliant mind. "Sarah," Marcus said, his voice excited despite the circumstances, "the readings are incredible. Their technology is exactly what we expected based on the wreckage we found in 2157. "Are we ready?" Sarah asked simply. "Oh, we're ready," Marcus grinned. "We've been ready for 68 years. The Hunter's confidence back on the stellar dominion." Commander Dexfer received the preliminary reports with satisfaction. Every scan confirmed what they already knew. Humanity was a primitive species ripe for conquest. "Commander," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface." "Put it through," Dexver ordered. The view screen shifted to show a human female in military uniform. Her expression was calm, almost serene, which immediately made Dexver suspicious. Most species showed terror when faced with his fleet. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth's Defense Forces," the human said. "We are aware of your presence and would like to establish diplomatic communications." Dexver laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. Diplomatic communications. You are in the presence of the Zephyrian Empire's third conquest fleet. Your world will surrender immediately, or we will demonstrate why resistance is futile. Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. I understand your position, Commander. However, I must inform you that Earth declines your offer. Silence fell over the bridge. In 3 centuries of conquest, no species had ever simply declined their demands. You decline? Dexfer asked, his voice dangerously quiet. We do, Admiral. Chen replied. We prefer to remain independent. However, we're willing to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchanges if you're interested in peaceful relations. A display of power. Seb Commander Crystal looked confused. Commander, perhaps. They don't understand the situation. Then we'll educate them, Dexfer snarled. Target their moon, fire a warning shot, something to crack the surface and get their attention. Sir, that might kill millions of their people on lunar colonies, Dr. Velanara protested. Then they'll learn quickly, Dexfer replied coldly. The Stellar Dominion's main weapon charged with enough energy to split a small moon. The beam lanced out across space, a coherent stream of destruction that had leveled cities across the galaxy. But as the beam struck the lunar surface, something impossible happened. Instead of the expected explosion and crater, the energy simply vanished. The moon remained unchanged, its surface unmarked. What happened? Dexfer demanded. Crystal stared at his instruments in confusion. Sir, the beam hit the target directly, but there's no damage. The energy just disappeared. Scan again. I am scanning, Commander. There's no crater, no heat signature, nothing. It's as if our weapon never fired. The human response on Earth. Admiral Chen watched the alien weapon strike the moon through her command center's main screen. Around her, dozens of technicians monitored systems that the aliens couldn't even detect. Energy absorption at 98.7% efficiency, reported Dr. Webb over the communication link. The lunar collectors are now at full charge. Excellent, Sarah, replied Captain Rodriguez. Status of the orbital platforms. Captain Alina Rodriguez, commander of the Orbital Defense Network, smiled grimly. All platforms are powered and ready, Admiral. The aliens just gave us enough energy to run our defenses for 6 months. Sarah activated the communication channel. To the alien fleet, Commander Dexfer, thank you for the energy donation. Our lunar power collectors appreciate the boost to their reserves. On the Stellar Dominion's bridge, Dexfer stared at the human admiral in disbelief. Power collectors. Oh yes, Admiral Chen replied cheerfully. We've been harvesting solar energy on an industrial scale for decades. Your weapon provided about as much power as we collect in 3 days, but every bit helps. Dr. Velanara whispered urgently to her commander. Sir, if they have energy absorption technology that advanced, their other systems might be more sophisticated than we assumed. Impossible, Dexfer growled. They're primitives. Scan their orbital platforms again. The results made his blood run cold. What had appeared to be simple metal structures were now revealing themselves as something far more complex. Energy signatures that defied understanding, materials that shouldn't exist, weapon systems that registered as impossible. The first hint of truth. Admiral Chen continued her pleasant conversation with the increasingly disturbed alien commander. Commander, I should mention that Earth has been aware of galactic civilization for quite some time. We've been preparing for this day since we found your scout ships that crashed in our system over the past century. Our scout ships don't crash, Dexfer said automatically. They do when they encounter our early warning systems, Admiral Chen replied. We've learned quite a lot from studying your technology. Fascinating designs, though somewhat inefficient by our standards. Inefficient, Dexter-S. Voice rose in outrage. Oh yes, you build for show rather than function. Very artistic, but wasteful. We prefer a more practical approach. Around the bridge of the Stellar Dominion, alarm klaxons began to sound. Crystal looked up from his sensors with terror in his eyes. Commander, he said, his voice shaking, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Something very large is moving in the asteroid belt. Show me, Dexter commanded. The view screen shifted to show long-range sensors. At first, there was nothing but empty space and floating rocks. Then, like a predator emerging from camouflage, something began to take shape. It was a ship, but calling it a ship was like calling a hurricane a breeze. The vessel was enormous, easily twice the size of the Stellar Dominion, and its design was completely unlike anything in the galactic databases. Where Zephyrian ships were curved and elegant, this was angular and purposeful. Where alien vessels looked like art, this looked like pure function. What is that? Dr. Velanara whispered. Admiral Chen's voice came over the communication channel, now carrying a hint of steel beneath her pleasant tone. That, Commander, is the UES Prometheus. She's been waiting patiently in the asteroid belt for your arrival. The hunter becomes prey as the massive human battleship fully decloaked. More contacts began appearing on the Zephyrian sensors. Ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system, behind Jupiter's moons, in Saturn's rings, camouflaged among the asteroids. Each one was different in design, but all shared the same angular, aggressive architecture. How many? Dexter asked, his voice barely above a whisper. 17 confirmed contacts, Crystal reported, possibly more. Their stealth technology is unlike anything in our databases. Sub-Commander Nexron, the fleet's tactical officer, looked up from his weapons console. Commander, I'm reading energy outputs that shouldn't be possible. Each of their ships generates more power than our entire fleet combined. That's impossible, Dexter said, but his voice lacked conviction. Admiral Chen's image reappeared. On their screen, Commander, I think it's time we had an honest conversation. You came here expecting to find a primitive world ripe for conquest. Instead, you found something that changes everything you thought you knew about this galaxy. What do you want? Dexter asked, his arrogance finally cracking. What we've always wanted, Admiral Chen replied. To be left alone to develop in peace. But since you're here, we have a proposal. You can either accept our offer of peaceful withdrawal from our system, or you can test whether your weapons work better than your sensors did. Around the bridge, the crew of the Stellar Dominion watched their instruments with growing horror. Every ship in their mighty fleet was now targeted by multiple human vessels. Weapons they couldn't understand were locked onto them from impossible distances. Commander, Dr. Velanara said quietly, I recommend we hear their terms. For the first time in his long career of conquest, Commander Vexver found himself completely outmatched. The hunters had become the hunted, and the prey was offering them a chance to escape. The age of easy conquest was about to end, and humanity was just getting started. The silent responster, Prometheus Awakens, Captain James Mitchell, stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, watching the alien fleet through viewports that shouldn't have been able to exist. The transparent aluminum was stronger than any metal the galaxy knew, and it offered a perfect view of their visitors. Status report, James said calmly. His grey hair and weathered face showed the experience of 30 years in space, but his blue eyes held the sharp intelligence that had made him humanity's first choice for this moment. Chief Engineer Lisa Park looked up from her station, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. All systems operational, Captain. Fusion reactors running at 40% capacity. Weapon systems fully charged. Stealth field disengaged as ordered. Excellent. Communications, open a channel to the alien flagship. Lieutenant Commander Alex Thompson, the ship's tactical officer, activated the communication array. Channel open, sir. James stepped forward, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had never backed down from a fight. Commander Vexva, this is Captain James Mitchell of the Earth defense ship Prometheus. I believe we need to have a conversation. The aliens growing horror on the bridge of the Stellar Dominion. Commander Dexfer stared at the human captain's image with growing dread. Everything about this situation violated his understanding of how the galaxy worked. Captain Mitchell, Dexfer said, trying to maintain his composure. Your ship is impressive for a primitive species, but you are still outnumbered 50-17. James smiled, and somehow that expression was more terrifying than any threat. Are we, computer? Show our guest the full tactical display. The view screen shifted to show a three-dimensional map of the solar system. The Zephyrian fleet appeared as red dots clustered near Earth, but as the display updated, more contacts began appearing. Blue dots materialized throughout the system. Dozens of them, then hundreds. What is this? Dexfer demanded. This is what happens when a species has 70 years to prepare for your arrival, James replied. Every piece of space debris larger than a basketball in this system has been weaponized. Every asteroid has been hollowed out and turned into a fortress. Every comet has been fitted with engines and targeting systems. Dr. Velanara clicked her mandibles nervously as she studied the display. Commander, if this is accurate, we're not outnumbered 57-17. We're outnumbered 57 to several thousand. The demonstration's Commander Krickstahl looked up from his sensor station, his scales now a pale green with fear. Commander, I'm detecting massive power build-ups throughout the system. Every one of those contacts is charging weapons. Let me show you something, Captain Mitchell said pleasantly. Computer, target asteroid designation, Tango 727. Fire mining beam. Mining beam, Dexfer asked. The answer came in the form of a pencil-thin beam of light that reached out from the Prometheus to touch a distant asteroid. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the space rock, along with a perfect sphere of space around it, simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, not vaporized. Gone. The energy readings from the event made every alarm on the Stellar Dominion scream at once. The computers tried to calculate the power output and failed. The numbers were beyond their processing capability. That was our standard. Asteroid Processing System, Chief Engineer Park's voice came over the communication channel. We use it for mining operations. Converts matter directly to energy with 99.3% efficiency. If that's your mining equipment, Subcommander Nexron whispered, what do your weapons look like? Asterisk, the true revelation. Captain Mitchell heard the question through the open channel. Would you like a demonstration of our defensive systems instead? They're much more interesting. Without waiting for an answer, he turned to his tactical officer. Alex, activate the solar collection array. Aye, sir, Alex replied. Solar array online. Around the star that humans called Sol, structures that had been invisible to alien sensors suddenly blazed to life. Massive rings of collecting stations, each one larger than a Zephyrian dreadnought, formed concentric circles around the sun itself. We've been building this for 60 years, Captain Mitchell explained casually. A Dyson swarm. We collect about 0.1% of our star's total energy output. That gives us approximately 1 million times more power than your entire fleet generates. Dr. Velanara's clicking sounds had become a continuous chatter of terror. Commander, this is beyond anything in galactic records. They've built a stellar engineering project. Only theoretical civilizations were supposed to be capable of this. Oh, we're quite real, Captain Mitchell assured her. And we're just getting started. The fleet's collapse throughout the Zephyrian fleet. Panic was spreading. Ship after ship reported the same impossible readings. Every vessel was targeted by multiple human weapons. Energy signatures that shouldn't exist were pointed at them from every direction. Commander Dexter tried to maintain control, but his voice cracked as he spoke. This is impossible. Our intelligence reports indicated you were primitive. Your intelligence was designed to be fooled. Admiral Chen's voice joined the conversation from Earth. We've been aware of your empire for over a century. Every primitive signal you detected, every accidental discovery of our technology, every piece of evidence that suggested we were helpless was carefully crafted. You've been watching us, Dexter realized. We've been studying you, Captain Mitchell corrected. Learning your language, understanding your technology, preparing for the day you would arrive. We knew you would come eventually. Your empire's pattern is quite predictable. Chief Engineer Park added helpfully, we found the wreckage of your scout ships, very informative. Your technology is actually quite elegant, though about 3 centuries behind our current capabilities. The true scope Lieutenant Commander Thompson activated another display, showing the galaxy itself. Commander Dexter, would you like to know how many of your empire's worlds we've been monitoring? The display lit up with markers throughout the galaxy, hundreds of star systems, each one marked with detailed information about Zephyrian activities, fleet movements, and technological capabilities. Asterisk, asterisk. All of them, James said simply. We have monitoring stations in every system your empire has touched. Cloaked observers in every fleet engagement. We've been preparing not just to defend Earth, but to defend every world you might threaten in. The future, that's impossible, Dexter whispered. Our empire spans 300 systems across thousands of light years, and our monitoring network spans 3,000 systems across 10,000 light years. Admiral Chen replied, Did you think Earth was the only world with reason to fear your empire? The silent fleet across, the Zephyrian fleet, communication channels fell silent. Ship after ship reported the same thing. Complete targeting lock by superior weapons. No possibility of escape. No chance of victory. Sub-Commander Crystal spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. Commander, our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses. Our engines cannot outrun their ships. Our sensors cannot detect their full capabilities. What do you want? Dexter asked, his arrogance completely gone. Captain Mitchell's expression became serious. We want what we've always wanted. Commander, to be left alone to develop in peace. But since your empire seems incapable of leaving anyone alone, we're prepared to offer you a choice. What choice? Option 1. Your fleet withdraws from this system immediately. You return to your empire and inform them that Earth is under the protection of the Terran Defense Network. Any future aggression against humanity or our allies will result in the complete dismantling of your empire. The bridge of the Stellar Dominion fell completely silent. Option 2, Dexter asked reluctantly. We demonstrate why no galactic empire has ever successfully conquered a human world, James replied. Your choice, Commander. The Alliance offer Admiral. Chun's image reappeared on the screen. However, we'd prefer to offer you a third option, Commander. What? Join us. Not as conquered subjects, but as equal partners in something better than an empire built on fear. Dr. Velanara looked up sharply. You would accept us as allies after we came to conquer you. We understand fear, Dr. Admiral Chen replied. Your empire conquers because it's afraid of being conquered. Your people serve because they're afraid of being destroyed. But there's another way. Captain Mitchell nodded. We're not interested in ruling anyone, Commander. We're interested in protecting everyone. Every world your empire has conquered. Every species forced into servitude. Every civilization crushed under your expansion could be free. In exchange for what? Dexter asked suspiciously. Help us build something better, James replied. A galaxy where species develop according to their own nature. Where trade replaces conquest. Where exploration replaces exploitation. The decision for long minutes, the alien fleet hung in space, surrounded by human ships and weapons beyond their understanding. On every bridge, crews waited for orders that might determine the fate of their entire civilization. Commander Lexber looked around his bridge at the faces of beings from dozens of conquered worlds. For the first time, he saw not servants, but fellow prisoners of an empire built on violence. Admiral Chen, he said finally. Captain Mitchell, if we were to consider your third option, what guarantees do we have? The same guarantee we're offering every species in the galaxy, Admiral. Chen replied. Freedom to choose your own path, protection from those who would deny that freedom, and partnership with beings who believe in something better than conquest. Chief Engineer Park added, and access to technology that makes your current capabilities look like stone tools. Dr. Velanara's clicking sounds had changed from terror to something that might have been hope. Commander, this could mean the end of the wars, the end of the fear. Dexter made a decision that would echo through galactic history. Admiral Chen, Captain Mitchell, the Zephyrian Third Conquest Fleet, formally requests permission to discuss terms of alliance. The galaxy changes his word of the encounter spread through the galaxy. Empire after empire found themselves facing a choice they had never expected to have. The age of conquest through fear was ending, replaced by something that terrified galactic empires more than any weapon, hope on Earth. Admiral Chen watched the alien fleet power down their weapons and accept escort to lunar orbit. Around her, the command center buzzed with activity as humanity prepared for its new role as protector of the galaxy. Ma'am, Colonel Harris said quietly, are you sure we're ready for this? Sarah smiled. David, we've been ready for this since. The first human looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. We just finally have the tools to make a difference. In the depths of space, the UES Prometheus and her sister ships maintained their watch. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as guardians. The silence that had swept across the galaxy when Earth's warships appeared was not the silence of fear, but the silence of worlds holding their breath, waiting to see if the age of freedom had truly begun. The answer, carried on every communication channel and whispered in every language, was a resounding yes. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk.